Hi, Jeff Mersace, and we are here today with Evonne Hopkins of Hopkins Law Firm. And Evonne is going to talk to us a little bit about an emerging issue in family law. Can you tell us a little bit about the field of grandparents' rights and explain what that is?
Yeah, so we often get phone calls from grandparents who are frustrated because they've either raised their grandchildren at some point in their lives, or the parent has lived, their child has lived with their grandchildren in their house for a period of time, and there's either been some sort of discontent or some sort of fight between the grandparent and their child that is now preventing them from seeing their grandchildren. And so there are ways through the court that we can help grandparents have visitation of their grandchildren. And there are also ways through the court to allow grandparents to potentially have custody of their grandchildren. And the difference between visitation and custody is that visitation, they would just say see their grandchildren maybe every other weekend or once a month or something like that. Whereas custody would actually be that they would have either primary or secondary custody. They would have legal custody rights to make decisions, medical decisions, and school-related decisions.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What are some of the bullet points?
Sure. So sometimes what happens is that a grandparent has a child who very often has substance abuse or mental health issues or just financial problems, and that parent will either move in with the child, the grandchild, or will have the grandchild live with the grandparent for a period of time, and the parent's not there at all. And then the grandparent is assuming the role of a caretaker and taking the child to school, taking the child to the doctor, enrolling the child in school each year, and really playing that parent role, not necessarily a grandparent role. And at some point, the parent may or may not want the child back or is frustrated with the grandparent. I see it a lot in enabling cases where the grandparent finally says enough. You need to move out, you need to get your act together.
Okay.
And then they try to use the child. The parent will try to use the child as a pawn.
Okay.
And so the grandparent gets frustrated because the child's then in the middle, and they want to know what their options are and what they can do to try to help the child get in the best place.
Okay. Another issue, another, I guess, point around this, how is this affecting maybe with same-sex relationships?
Absolutely. So grandparents can be a third party in a custody case. But under our statute, almost anybody could be a person that could qualify so long as they fit certain criteria. And being an active caretaker for the child, someone who's really played a significant role, whether it be a significant other, whether it be a step parent, whether or not it's a married couple or not. There are most of our cases on third-party custody are same-sex couples.
Okay.
And up until recently, when same-sex couples were allowed to get married, there was a lot of debate over who's the parent and who has rights to the child, and if a couple separates and they weren't married at the time, there's a lot of question about who has any rights to this child that they have raised since birth. Or have had a significant parenting role, and our law protects them and allows them to come forward and say, I want time with this child. I may not be the biological parent, but I'm the aunt who's taken them to school for the last year and a half, or I'm the grandparent who's done that, or I'm the former boyfriend or former girlfriend who was there while this other parent was off doing X, Y, and Z. I'm really the parent. I'm the de facto parent. And so you'll see it, sometimes you'll see it with siblings, whereas like a sister of a parent or a brother of a parent will say, this child I've raised, and my sister or my brother doesn't have their act together. Again, the courts, there's a constitutional protected status as a parent. So there's a hurdle. You can't just go in and be under the same standard as if two parents are feuding over custody.
Right.
There's a hurdle that you have to cross over to overcome that constitutional burden. But it happens. We've succeeded at it, and it can be done. It's just on a case-by-case basis.
It sounds, in the context particularly of grandparents, there is a hurdle to overcome when you're talking about the custody issue, but in estate planning, it's actually a lot easier to be able to skip your kids and leave the money to the grandkids and have it set up in a trust the right way. So yeah, it's easier to do the money part than what you've got, but that's a very interesting field of law. All right, well, thank you, Evonne, for being here. Can you let our audience know what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I'm Evonne Hopkins of Hopkins Law Firm. We are on Falls of Neuse, just north of 540 here in North Raleigh. And my website is www.raleighlawfirm.net. And my number is 919-268-4070.
Great. Well, thank you for being here, Evonne.
Thank you.